the Galileo Podcast. This is episode number 11 of our infamous Galileo online chat program. And I'm here today with, three of our special guests. Three guests who haven't really spent too much time so far on a podcast, but they're very valued members of our Sims, very notorious members of our Sims. We've got some great people here. We've got Brian with the Y, who plays Osam Mott. Osam. He's our special Bolian Assistant Chief Medical Officer. We've also got Lark here with us today. Lark plays our Security Investigations Officer. Benice Geisy, is that right? Or Geis? Geis. Okay, there we go. And we've got Matthew. And Matthew's been here for a really long time, I think. Not quite as long as Brian, but he's still a veteran, and he plays Elijah Williams. And Elijah's our geologist. Elijah Williams the fourth. And it is a pleasure to have all you guys here with us. I want to take a couple minutes to have each of you kind of introduce yourselves officially to the Sim, because it's the first time you've been on a podcast, and kind of, take a couple seconds to talk about yourselves and also your characters. So, Brian, you want to go first?
Sure. That's right. I'm Brian with a Y, not the other one with an I, which is spelled incorrectly, by the way.
Not the bone saw fetish person.
I play Mott, Osam Mott, not the only Bolian. We have that other Bolian. I forgot about him. The abusive one. I play the Dr. Bolian, which is he's kind of a goofy guy, and I really enjoy writing the character. Actually, it's kind of like taking all of the fun and humor that I have in life and multiplying it times 1,000, and then just writing it down.
Now, quick question about Mott. He's obviously very humorous. He's a very deep character. You've done a great job kind of exploring him in depth. What's kind of like your main motivation when you write Mott? Like, is there something that you channel when you write him? Because it just seems to me that you write him so naturally. It's so kind of jubilantly that it's kind of amazing. Like, I've never really seen a character like that before. I'm wondering if that's something that you kind of use a little bit of personal reference for, or if that's something that you just have a knack for writing those types of characters. I
think the sad truth is, it's just kind of like writing myself.
And that's the answer we all wanted to hear.
It says a whole lot about me that is just really off and disturbing. It is a lot of the motivation comes from me, but really I just try to think of this guy who's just so happy that he's clueless, like he doesn't pick up on anything, and because of that, it's like ignorance is bliss kind of personified in a tubby little Bolian.
All right, Brian, real quick, I want to read this to you because this was Tom's nomination for you for Character of the Year, which I think is most excellent, and I think you'll get a good laugh out of it. Okay. So this is Osam Mott's Character of the Year nomination for Obsidian Fleet. And Tom writes, I hereby submit my nomination for Lieutenant Osam Mott to be considered for the accolade of Character of the Year. Since joining our little ship, Brian has played a character in the true Brolian style that can only be considered larger than life. I have enjoyed the energy, the power, and indeed the sheer dedication to writing from this player firsthand in the ongoing comedic foil between my EMH character and Brian's blue physician. Again, that's putting it lightly. The second paragraph. Playing the character to the hilt, Brian's writing exudes the nature of the character to the extreme, which for a Bolian I can only say must be a good thing. Every sentence is crafted to perfection, And the background built up for Mott included, but not limited to, his 47 family members, who Brian has single-handedly played in a way that Eddie Murphy would be proud of. Only shows the quality of writing that this player brings day in, day out to the Galileo. As the in-character commanding officer and the out-of-character XO for the Galileo, I can place my hand on my heart and say that this character is simply one of the finest I have ever had the pleasure of reading, let alone writing with. So, congratulations, Brian. That's fantastic. And I think a lot of us here on the Sim feel the same way. Whatever you're doing, however you're channeling it, keep it going, my friend. That's most excellent.
It's a good thing there's no video right now. I'm very red.
Bright red face, Eddie Murphy reference.
Yeah. I think that was probably the greatest part of the nomination.
Yeah. All right. I guess next up is Lark. Oh, I feel sorry. It's a hell of an act to follow. But Lark, this is actually, I think, your second time here on the podcast.
No,
right?
I think this is my first.
Oh, first time, but not the first time we've chatted before. Is that right? Okay. Oh, that's what it is. I'm sorry. But yeah, you're still kind of a relatively new player, and you joined after we started Shore Leave. Is that right? Just like right after we started?
Before that. Yeah, before
that.
Oh,
okay, yeah. And that kind of like that interim period?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Excellent. All right, do you want to tell us a little about I guess, Benice and kind of her heritage? Because you play a really interesting Bajoran character, and I think you actually play the only Bajoran character that we have on the Sim, which I think is really, really cool.
Well, she's actually my second Bajoran I've ever created, mostly because I love the whole background that how these people recover. And she's definitely an older Bajoran, probably a little younger than Kira Nerys. I mostly describe her as a fish out of water because if you've ever watched the movie Hot Fuzz, she's like the city cop who went after every kind of bad guy known to man, and then she's thrust into the country, the small town, which is Galileo, and so now she's trying to, well, she has to learn to kind of slow down and learn that, yeah, some things are not exactly as they should be run, and she definitely knows that there's some kind of shadiness going around with some of the characters, but mostly she just needs to learn to stop chasing ghosts.
So she's a big city hero in a small town starship. Is that right?
Well, she probably wouldn't admit she's a hero, but probably, yeah.
Or more or less, somewhere along those lines.
But the reason why I wanted to essentially give her a handicap was because I wanted to show the darkness that, the Cardassians were capable of during the Bajoran occupation, and she somehow manages to find a way to move on after all that carnage, but she couldn't exactly, be the person she wanted to be on Bajor, because they looked at her with the handicap and was like, you can't serve in the militia. We don't know what to do with you. So she takes a more academic approach to solving crimes, and she's definitely a tactician, and she can build bombs and all this other stuff, so where that she can prove, yeah, I may not be able to run like everybody else, but I do have skills that I can contribute. So she's a different kind of security officer, and mostly because I really didn't want to do the typical ones that you normally see.
I think that's great. She's quite possibly the most interesting new character that we've had on the Sim. I haven't JP with her with any of my characters yet, but it's something I definitely look forward to. And more importantly, I kind of look forward to seeing how she's going to perform in our upcoming missions, and kind of how she gets a chance to adapt to the crew and all the different personalities that we have around on the ship. And so, I think you're off to a wonderful start, and there's definitely going to be a lot of stuff for her to tackle in the coming months. I'll say that much.
Well, right now she's busy chasing a Romulan on the ship that she thinks is up to no good. So that's actually pretty funny. That was one of our subplots.
No racial profiling, okay? None of that stuff.
No. She's a good cop. Honestly, never racial profile.
Never.
Never.
Wink,
Cops
wink,
do it
nudge,
all the
nudge. All right. Matthew, this is your first time here on the podcast. It's very, very good to actually talk with you because I know you played a most excellent character in Elijah for quite a while now on Galileo. I think, you're at 4 months, close to 6 months, I think.
Almost a year.
Oh, yeah, at least, yeah, man. Yeah, so you were here with us for the end of episode 7, halfway through the end of episode 7, is that correct? For the Legend of Souls. You were here for most of it, weren't you? I think.
I was here for all of it.
Yeah. Okay, yeah. There we go. Yeah, I'm sorry, man. I'm getting everything confused. Yeah. So you're here for all of our first adventure.
Yep.
And and you've been through a full shore leave with us now, and you play probably one of our most intriguing and cool and just like genuine-hearted science characters, and you actually play a specialty role. You play one of those planetary science specialty roles. So you play a geologist. It's not like you're just simply a science officer or research officer. You play a specialized science position. So why don't you tell us a little bit about both yourself and your character? Because everybody here knows Elijah, and you've got a pretty good rep on the sim, so I think we all kind of want to know a little bit behind, who the writer is behind the genius character, or who the genius is behind the character, however it works out,
I don't know about that, but I'm Matthew. I'm a teacher. I teach 2nd grade. For all the new people who don't know, I'm in a wheelchair, but I make fun of myself quite a bit. I'm always cracking jokes at Brian, so. But I've been simming for a long time, and it's just fun to write and be around good writers, and that's a bit about me, I guess. So, and Elijah kind of came out of the whole thing that I wanted to represent that the 24th century family unit wasn't exactly perfect. We always see on the television shows, these people who went to Starfleet who have long lineages of Starfleet officers, and they're brilliant, and, their fathers and mothers were in command positions, and I wanted Elijah to come from a broken home to show that this is still something that could be possible. And before the mission that the Cardassians started, he's kind of this shy, meek character, and the mission kind of changed him. So I got a chance to explore a side of him where we see a character that is depressed and sad and doesn't have any self-worth or self-esteem, and then kind of see him go through this whole experience facing death and getting injured and helping people, and how it just kind of morphed and changed. And that I can easily play with the whole idea that he could go back to being what we saw previously. So he's kind of unique in that regard, because I haven't really played a character that has come from a broken home and has suffered abuse, physical and mental, and then trying for him to keep his head above water, I guess. So, and then the geologist thing, I have an interest in it, and I do research when I have to write geology type things in posts. So. So
hopefully do a little bit of out-of-character research, kind of figure out what you're talking about.
Right. So I hope it comes across as believable.
Oh no, absolutely. I mean, he's fantastic. He's like I said before, he's probably one of our best science officers, which is saying a lot considering we have a science department the size of a separate an individual sim. We've got like 10 player characters in there, 20 non-player characters in there. So Elijah, he's definitely a standout guy. And I mean, I love reading all the posts that you put out with him. You put a lot of depth and a lot of writing. A lot of character development into your writing, which I think is fantastic. So, yeah, man, that's awesome. I just wanted to know where your motivation for the character came from, and that sounds really good. That's good stuff, man.
Oh, thank you.
All right, so we are gonna run right into our first podcast topic today, and for Brian. And for Matthew, you guys have both been here through one full mission, plus a shore leave mission. Lark, you joined at the end of one of our missions and segued into shore leave. But we're going to quickly talk about kind of the difference between our main missions and what shore leave is like on our sim. And I think most of you guys have noticed a little bit of a kind of difference in the way that the pace is, as well as the organization of different posts. And I guess I'll open the floor up to you guys. What do you guys think about the difference between our main missions, which are structured and have a certain plot and a main storyline going on, versus kind of our shore leaves, which are more open-ended, where you can create your own subplots and just kind of have a free-for-all for a little bit. Is that something you guys like? Is that something that appeals to you guys? And do you think it kind of works for our sim, and do you think it helps kind of get people involved with each other? So, Brian, you're up.
Yeah, I know a lot of people kind of dread shore leave. I don't get it, because I love shore leave. It is my favorite time because, for a very selfish reason, I can write whatever I want. Within reason, of course. You can run your own subplot and feel, I think, a little freer with it, because you don't have to worry about kind of messing up the mission or taking away attention from the mission. So I like the freedom of shore leave, I guess I can say. And I think it is quite a bit different, especially in pace, compared to the mission, because with the mission, something is always going on for someone, somewhere, in some way that everyone needs to pay attention to. But when it comes to shore leave, you're just kind of open, and I think it gives people a great opportunity to kind of explore their own creativity.
Laura, what do you think?
Well, obviously I hadn't actually had a whole lot of, mission time with Galileo yet.
If you say you hate it, I'm going to get mad.
I hate it. I love it.
There's like a long, awkward pause. It's just like, Lark's just like, yeah, whatever.
Yeah, missions suck. Anyway. No, it's just playing on other sims and stuff. I mean, you can do some character development stuff for missions, except it's usually because of whatever objective happened that directly impacts your character, and so, I mean, that's really good. But for me, shore leave, you have, as Brian pointed out, less constrictions, so you can basically take your character in any direction you want to, in ways that, in a mission day-to-day, it's probably not going to reveal. So, for me, if it was up to me, I would just shore leave forever and a day, just because I truly love character development.
Awesome. Matthew, what do you think about shore leave? Has Elijah been getting his fair share of exposure?
Oh yeah, definitely. Shore leave, well, I agree with the others in that it allows you to explore your character beyond their duty. So you get to see a side of them, outside of their domain, really. but you can also do it where you can show how much they miss, their day-to-day lives as well. I mean, for a character like Elijah, he's all about structure. So to throw him on a big starbase, can probably cause him to have a panic attack. But I think what's great about missions, though, is that we get to see our characters in their element as well. So we get to see, Mott knocking over med carts, and we get to see Elijah in the labs, and like, it's not just about the senior staff. We have a whole group of characters that work and live on the Galileo, and it's just nice to see. It's nice to see that. On other sims that are much smaller, we just see senior officers. We don't see the other departments, and so I think that's one benefit of having a large sim like the Galileo. But it's also good to show the other side of our characters, and shore leave is certainly a way to do that. So I enjoy it, but I also enjoy the mission aspects as well.
Yeah, I feel the same way, to be completely honest. Kind of I feel like the most fun that we've ever had as a sim has been at certain points during our mission, and I think that chance to kind of explore our characters within those mission parameters, and kind of getting to see how they react to certain different situations, different elements of what they might encounter out there. When we're traveling the cosmos and doing things. We've done things ranging from exploring a new solar system to encountering the Borg inside of a nebula, to doing a planetary survey, an encounter on Lyshan, and then encountering non-corporeal alien beings. I mean, I think when you combine all of it, it's there's such fantastic chance to get some good character development and character growth going, and it gives everybody a chance to kind of play their characters to the hilt. It's kind of puts you in that role. It makes you feel like kind of like you're in a Star Trek episode where you're actually writing how your character would respond to these outrageous situations. And these are things that we would never, we would never encounter in our daily lives. Because obviously we're not living in the 24th century, but. It's one of those things where it kind of really develops your character and yourself as a writer, at least I feel like, because you kind of get to practice doing things and writing certain types of responses to certain situations that you would normally not get to do on most sims. And especially during a shore leave, there's not necessarily that opportunity to be able to, kind of do a heroic action that impacts what everything else is going on in the mission, or to to suffer injury, which might impact everything else that's going on in the mission, things like that. So I think our missions are kind of our heart and soul of our sim, but at the same time, I feel like our shore leave is the chance where we get to do just pure character development, and we get to just go balls to the wall, untethered with our characters, and have a good time, and all of us can do whatever we want with our characters, explore them even in more depth, take the previous adventures and experiences that we've had with our characters and build on them, through that shore leave, kind of see how they deal with certain situations. Maybe some people need counseling, because they had a rough mission. I don't know. I mean, my character did a bunch of times.
She still needs counseling.
Hey, okay. This isn't a Lyra bashing segment. Let's calm down. But you guys know what I mean. So yeah, I think shore leave is fantastic, and it's one of those things we only do it once per year, per calendar year. So it's not something that comes around often, and when it does come around, it's kind of one of those things where I feel like we pace it well enough so that when it does come around, everybody should take advantage of it and kind of get to do the things that they want with their characters. I mean, Kirk was doing what? He was hiking up a mountain, and I think he was doing free climbing without any ropes or anything like that. It's completely outrageous. Like realistically, no, there's no way you'd have a Starfleet captain free climbing up a rock face with no safety ropes. But hey, if that's what you want to do, go for it. It's Star Trek, so that's awesome. Hey, I also want to introduce our second Brian. I guess we have now the Brian, who is here with us. So we've got Brian, the one who spells his name improperly with an I.
Actually, I'm the one who spells it correctly. I just had to jump in and correct that right off the bat here.
No, let's be clear. That's the main reason why you joined the podcast. Is that correct?
Yeah, mostly.
Okay.
I was here first, so I planted the flag. I'm just going to say.
All right, well, I've said my piece. I'm done.
All right, I think I got the next subplot going on for the next mission. So yeah, Brian, great to have you here with us. We're actually jumping into a segment which I think you'll find really interesting. Man, did you read my mind before we did this? Because the next thing we're going to talk about is actually Star Trek Online, which you play a decent about, and we're going to talk a little bit about the whole the way it kind of relates to the regular Star Trek Prime Star Trek Prime canon, and the new expansion that they did, the Delta Rising, which I've refused to play because I don't want the whole Voyager series to be ruined for me.
Amen.
Let's jump right into it. No holds barred. Brian, Mott. Man, it's so weird now. Okay. The Brian.
Refer to me.
Brian. I'm going to refer to you guys collectively. Okay. The Brian.
B&B.
Yeah.
B&B.
Well, I think the great thing about the Delta Rising expansion is that they brought in all these memorable alien villains, iconic Star Trek villains like the Vaadwaur, and iconic races like the Kobali and the guy from that one Shapeshifter episode. Very, very iconic races. Yeah, you can tell they're really reaching for the bottom of the barrel on some of those. Like, here's the Bensons! Oh boy!
Oh man, I got tears in my eyes. That was great, Brian. Brian, what do you think about that, man? Because you play SGO.
Yeah, well, I play it off and on, mostly off lately. I haven't finished the whole Delta Rising campaign yet. I mean, it's an MMO, and it has, sometimes it's interesting, but there's a lot of grinding and a lot of being, not having all the items to be powerful enough and getting your ass handed to you a whole bunch of times in a row and trying again and again. So I kind of been a little frustrated at it, and I've put it down, and I've been playing more Borderlands lately. So. Well,
you got to have the Zen to be able to train, to spend the Zen to get the credits to buy the items that you want.
Right. How convenient is that, right?
Yeah, man.
It's like a business model or something.
God forbid. It's like some Ferengis took hold of that shit.
Yeah, right.
Boom, we got Star Trek Online.
Yeah.
So, absolutely, man. Brian, other Brian, what do you think about it?
I haven't played the new expansion, but I played SGO. Actually, I played a lot of it when it first came out. And I really like it as a new vehicle for Trek, I guess, because there's a lot of things I think that they can do that we're just not going to see. I like anything that expands the universe, whether people consider it to be canon or not. It all goes canon in my head because I can never keep anything straight. So it's not like anything is conflicting with anything else in there. It's just all Star Trek.
And especially because when you look at the STO timeline, they strategically put it at a point that's past the Prime universe.
Right, they're out there where
anything
nobody
that
knows.
we've ever seen, so they can kind of create their own canon and get away with it. which I thought was a pretty genius move. You know, it's not like they're trying to trample on already existing Star Trek. You know, they're kind of creating their own future. I guess what do they call it? Future fiction of what would happen throughout the late 2380s and 90s and into the 25th century.
And I'm all for making things up. So, you know, I think that's great that they're not going to step on. Although I know some people consider that they've stepped on toes and that kind of a thing. But
well. Now this is the big question. So, you played everything up through the Legacy of Romulus, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, in your playthrough of the Star Trek Online world, did you experience certain things that you were just like, oh my god, like fuck this is awful, or like, or this is just, you know, this just doesn't make sense. Like, why is this happening or this happening, or in my case, did you get really upset that somehow the Iconians were involved in every single subplot and major plot in Star Trek Online?
Yeah. Okay, so that kind of got on my nerves because I don't know jack about the original series, and so every time you're running into these Iconian things, it's like, what are these? I think maybe they were in one TNG episode. I don't remember for sure. But in terms of a moment during the game where I'm just done, was that stupid mission where that cone thing is like blasting you. I don't know how to explain it. It looks like a giant Funyun in space.
It's the what do they call it? The Doomsday Machine.
Yes, the Doomsday Machine. Okay, so when I played that, it was like...
It's the Funyun. It's the space Funyun.
People had just gotten there, okay? So this was like way back. It hadn't been nerfed or anything. I spent like 45 minutes getting my ass handed to me by that thing. And it's just infuriating because you're getting beat up by a Funyun.
Oh man, I can't contain myself. I'm sorry, dude. I never thought of it like that. It's a space Funyun. But Brian, in all fairness, it's a sentient creature that just has the misfortune of looking like a space Funyun.
Okay, well, sure, that's one way of looking at it.
So you got to feel bad for it, right?
You didn't spend 45 minutes having your ship blown up over and over again.
Just don't eat it.
Yeah, I eat it. Yeah. It's really yummy.
Oh boy, that's tough to recover from. Lark, what do you think about Star Trek Online?
Oh, that's a loaded question.
Because you play a lot of different types of MMOs, right? So yes, you can actually compare Star Trek Online to different types of MMOs.
Yes, I can.
Like, I know you play Lord of the Rings Online and some other ones. So kind of
Republic.
what? Yeah. What was it? TOR? Yeah.
Yeah, TOR, and I played a little bit of the DC Online, and but the thing with MMOs is they do these spectacular fan-based MMO themes, and it's always the vanilla package has got great storylines, and then they start turning it into a money sink. They get you to buy into this crap, and spend $20 for that really neat armor set, or what, blah blah blah, a new ship, whatever, and then let's see, WoW had the Mist of the Panda, Delta Rising seems to be one of them, Helm's Deep is another one, Rise of the Hutt Cartel. These are crappy expansions and these fan bases that a lot of the fans are pissed off about, but they're still with the MMO because they've already put $400 or $500 into the game already. So, in my opinion, I think I don't know what it is with the MMO developers, but it's like they make the game really good, and then they do something later on down the road, and it's like they get lazy or whatever, and it's just crap, and these fans feel like they're basically trapped having to play it.
Interesting. Matthew, what do you think? Have you played any Star Trek Online or?
Yeah, I started it, but I'm not very good at these things, so.
Also, okay. I mean, you don't have to be good to be able to evaluate the product. Did you kind of get a chance to explore kind of like the gaming world that they had developed and stuff like that, and kind of see what
Yeah,
they were trying to do from like a game perspective.
yeah. I think the concept is a good one. It kind of does, like you said, expand on what we know, but also offer new material. Because obviously, if there's no shows coming out or any other movies that take place in the Prime universe, we're not going to know. So, but I think it's a good vehicle, and I played for about 10 hours total, maybe. So, um, but I think the graphics are good, and the fact you get to kind of put together your own character and be on a starship. That's it's really a neat concept. So, but
Yeah, I think that's excellent. I actually want to talk about that because for as much flack as Star Trek Online gets, it's the most visually appealing Star Trek game that's ever been released. Like, it looks and feels like Star Trek when you play it. Like, it is full all the way through. First and foremost, it looks like Star Trek and it feels like Star Trek. And one of the coolest parts about it is another thing that Matthew mentioned is the character creation process, which is something that Cryptic used from their Champions Online model, and they have one of the most robust character creation platforms that I've ever seen in an MMO. And you can do pretty much anything with your character. You can create any type of character, like visually, through the character creation thing. You can make them look pretty much however you want. Like literally, they have every uniform that's ever been featured on screen. They have it available in Star Trek Online. They have every race, every species, every major species at least, available to play in Star Trek Online. They have facial editors. The whole character creation process itself, it can take up to 2 hours. If you're a new player and you just want to create a character, you can easily spend a couple hours just creating your character before you even jump into the game. And I think there's a lot to be said about that, because that's kind of at the heart of not only simming, but any type of multiplayer game in general, right? Is creating your character. So those games that do put that effort into that time and that effort into letting you customize and create your character to the fullest extent, I think that's something that should be rewarded. And for me personally, as much as I don't like certain story aspects of STO, they do an absolutely fantastic job with their character creation, and with their graphics. And for all of us Star Trek fans who don't have an online TV series, a new online TV series to watch or anything like that, I think it's it's a good substitute, and I've noticed a lot of our avatars for simming are coming from Star Trek Online now, which I think is also kind of indicative of how good the character creator mechanism is that they have. So yeah, I just want to throw that in there real quick. But actually, we're going to talk to Brian right now, the other Brian, the non-proper Brian, the Brian with the eye.
I like that.
Who is? But Brian with the eye is actually, I think, the most experienced STO player out of all of us.
Really?
So I want to get his thoughts. Brian, tell us what you think, man.
I'm surprised that I'm the most experienced, but okay. I think on the point of the character avatars for simming, I think they've actually did a good job of avoiding the whole uncanny valley situation, where I've seen a lot of 3D stuff that just scares the crap out of you. Lifeless eyes, and it's just scary. So I think they did a good job there. Yeah, I've played it. I joke sometimes that it is my least favorite game that I play a lot. So it's there's a lot to it that, I mean, Cryptic's a business and they got to make money, so there's a lot to it that's basically encouraging you to, well, like the whole Candy Crush model, to get addicted and then bust out your wallet. So, I mean, I play from time to time. I wouldn't say I'm super experienced. Like you all, whenever we do whenever we go head to head, like you always wipe the floor with me. So I think you're probably the most experienced in Star Trek Online. But yeah, I'll say that. I mean, really, at the end of the day, the challenge with like MMOs versus simming is that in simming, our only kind of boundary is our imagination. We can do whatever our imagination tells us to, whereas in simming, our boundary is the content created by some guy in a cubicle in California somewhere. So we're always in a... It's tricky because, if you... It sometimes feels like, the D&D campaign where the DM is totally railroading you through his plot and you don't have a whole lot of choice. I remember some of the frustrating moments for me were the Section 31 missions, because you don't really get a choice. You're basically, I'm going to go along with Section 31. And I think, first off, they kind of... One of the things is, a lot of people tend to forget that Section 31 are the bad guys. And two, like, I'd have appreciated maybe an option where you could, go against Section 31, maybe try to expose them or something. I think that would have been cool if you had, like, multiple options there. But as it is, like, the gameplay is all right, but it's just a linear story that you don't really have a whole lot of freedom in. Like, the best that MMOs can really do is usually the illusion of freedom. And there is just the challenge of those damn Iconians. The linear story is basically you go through it, and the Iconians are some superpowered alien that dicks around with you.
So the Iconians are still in Delta Rising?
I don't know. I didn't get all the way through it, but I can imagine the ending is probably like, you're gonna do some big thing and a big Iconian ship comes, and like when they had that Iconian ship come in and tractor what's-her-face, the Romulan, Seela's warbird away. I was like, God damn it!
I think they're behind everything. Yeah. Like you're replicating something. It's the Iconians. You go to get a scone and some coffee, and they've got something to do with it.
Yeah. It's like, really, it's just like Starbucks is owned by the Iconians. And,
yeah. Well, it's almost like a wizard did it. In fantasy RPGs, the Iconians are the wizard.
It is, right? It's like you cast a magical spell, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh, it's revealed that it was the Iconians that cast the spell. It's like, oh, come on, man. Like, come on.
Yeah.
I don't know. No, man, that's pretty good insight. Me personally, I loved playing STO. I went on a really hardcore binge a couple months ago, which I think a few people remember. I was told I needed to go to rehab and all that stuff, but I actually did. So, I got over my problem, and I'm now STO free. Thank you very much. But it was really cool. It's really hard. It's really, really hard. I'll put it this way. It's really, really hard to be a Trek fan and to not want to experience STO. Because STO, it does offer a lot. It offers you the chance to kind of get into that gaming world and do all this Star Trek stuff, all this fun stuff that we grew up with watching the series. And to kind of give us a different type of gameplay than simming would be. Give us a proper type of gaming input, I guess. I'm not sure if MMOs or MMORPGs the best gaming platform for Star Trek. I grew up in the late '90s where we had proper MMO, like 1v1, like person against person Star Trek things, with Starfleet Command and Klingon Academy. When you look at Klingon Academy, you had Christopher Plummer, who actually devoted an hour and a half of his free time, and probably even more, because he filmed 90 minutes of live action footage as Chang, from Star Trek 6, just for that game. That was kind of in the glory days of Star Trek, where everybody was putting in 100%. The franchise was on top of this game. There was no franchise fatigue. It was still the most popular, hands down, the most popular sci-fi franchise of its time. And I just feel like, I don't know, I just feel like I had so much fun back in the day when I was just kind of playing these different Star Trek video games. It all felt real. It all felt like Star Trek. And, now we had a few series here and there. Deep Space Nine, Voyager, Enterprise, they all wore off. And we've had, how long has it been? 5, 6, 7 years since Enterprise? Was that 2003 when Enterprise stopped? 2004? I'm not sure.
Sounds right.
Yeah, something like that. So we're looking at about 10 years since there's been a nationally syndicated Star Trek episode on TV. And so obviously the genre has lost a little bit of momentum. And, it kind of impacts us in the simming community. We're not like Star Wars, where everything's just getting rebooted so much all the time. We don't have Disney doing Star Wars cartoons and everything on the side. Instead, we have J.J. Abrams, who obviously. Let me preface this by saying I don't want to get into this discussion until another podcast.
I can feel Lark over there, like.
But I was saying, aside from J.J. Abrams and his reboot, there's really nothing else for Star Trek fans to latch onto, and a lot of us feel like the reboot it doesn't apply to the Prime universe. So for those of us who were fans of the Prime universe, it's like we really don't have much. We just still have to keep going off of, the Voyager stuff and the Deep Space Nine stuff, which was like 10 years ago. So, I think it's, I think the whole Star Trek Online thing is a good bridge. It helps us kind of retain our fandom while also kind of creating fictional stories and building our creativity, for different players and stuff like that, if that makes sense.
Oh, yeah, totally.
I'm sorry, I just went on like a huge rant. I just lost track of time.
It's okay.
But yeah, I guess speaking of that, I mean, do you guys have anything else you want to add about Star Trek Online, or do you guys think we're good for the day? Or do you guys want to get bold and tackle another topic? It's up to you.
I have no preference either way.
Make a decision, Brian.
Did we have a 90-minute section on the Boolean digestive system, part 1 of 7?
No.
Come on.
Yeah, I was gonna get to the part which explains why Maud is so full of shit.
I'd like to hear that.
I knew it was coming, man.
I want a plushie of Mott. He's so cute.
Actually, I was going to say, using Jay, you were talking about the character creator and how in-depth and everything it was, and I was just thinking of when I used it to create Mott's avatar and how totally lazy I was. Because I just went in and thought, let me just use the standard Boolean. Okay, I'm going to make him as fat as I can. Okay, I'm done.
So you just like increase like the waist width to like max, and then that's it.
Wow.
Which was disappointingly small. It's like you can't be fat in this. I don't know why.
Oh my god, that's funny as hell. Alright. Well, alright, let's do this. So we'll reload. We'll do another half-hour podcast because you guys all seem like you're up for it. And I got another topic that I think you guys would love to talk about. So if you guys are up for it, we'll reload. But for now, for this episode, it's been amazing. It's been fantastic. Thank you guys all so much for coming out. My name's Jay. and I'm here signing off, and I'm here with my guests, Brian, my guest Brian and Lark.
Yeah.
And Matthew, and the other Brian.
Yeah,
that's going to be your official name from now on.
The other Brian. He's the other Brian.
Yeah. And this is us for USS Galileo, Science Specialty Sim, Task Force 21 flagship, and we are signing off. Thank you.